sobre esta escuela, Manor Middle School. Sí vamos a tener esto grabado, entonces va a tener una copia en inglés y en español obviamente. Va a estar grabado detrás de nosotros, pero sí tenemos una audiencia más grande de lo que lo vemos aquí. Pero muchas gracias a todos por estar aquí con nosotros.
I feel like we're starting a comedy routine over here. I'm Robert Sermani. I am the superintendent. Yo soy Roberto Sermani, el superintendente del distrito.
Yo soy Alejandro Góngora, yo soy el Chief Schools Officer para el distrito. Yo apoyo todas las escuelas en el distrito y los directores. Good evening, Alejandro Góngora, Chief Schools Officer. I help support and supervise all 18 of our campuses in our district.
We have two objectives tonight. We're going to give an overview of the process of what's going on with Manor Middle School and why we're doing this and what's going on. And instead of breaking off into small groups, since we've got a small enough group here, we will kind of come to stay together in a large group, answer questions together, and then obviously if there's some people want to have some one-on-one conversations, I'll be here to talk with anybody who needs to afterwards. And you also have an opportunity to talk to our board members here as well.
Nuestro objetivo esta noche es para poder hablar con ustedes sobre lo que está pasando en este momento con la escuela de Manor Middle School. Queremos darle la oportunidad de poder hacer preguntas o pedir clarificación en lo que vamos a compartir con ustedes. Entonces, el superintendente de escuelas, el Dr. Somani y yo, vamos a estar aquí, pero también tenemos otros de la mesa ejecutiva del distrito, que ahorita va a presentar él, y gente del liderazgo del distrito.
First, we want to introduce our school board. Our board of trustees are here tonight, and I believe the one that's not here is on her way. Actually, she called me a little bit ago. None of this would be possible of us, the school, the furniture, these wonderful rocking chairs, without a wonderful supporting board of trustees. And so I want to give them a chance to introduce themselves. Ms. Sullivan, did you want to introduce the group, or would you like me to?
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I just introduced our board president, Ms. Monique Celadon. And then we have our vice president, Ms. Jamie Guerrero. Y también se habla español. And we have our board secretaries, Señora Ana Cortez. And also se habla español muy bien también. And we have our trustee, Ms. Tamika Durden. We have trustee Stephanie Rodriguez. And we have trustee Fabian Martinez, se habla español también. So let's give our board a hand. Manor Middle School. Up here we have the mission and vision of Manor Middle School, and this is the foundation of the work we do.
Lo que tenemos aquí es la misión y la visión de la escuela. Entonces, en breve, porque están en español, les digo, la misión de esta escuela es de poder preparar a los niños para ser líderes en el futuro. Y estoy dando un breve resumen de lo que está ahí. La visión de este equipo también es asegurar que trabajan como equipo, que valoran la diversidad que se encuentra no solamente en esta escuela, pero también en la comunidad. Y al final del día, ellos hacen lo que tienen que hacer para que los niños y la facultad tengan éxito.
So, first of all, we need to explain the state accountability system first to understand about 1882 partnerships in the Manor Middle School. Right up here, you can see what the scores have been at the campus over the years, dating all the way back to 2017. And you can also see where in 2022, the school should have been a D, but because of legislation that the state passed, the D didn't count. It's not fair, but that's what the law said. And so we wouldn't have this conversation if that score had been allowed to stand. You can see the last two, we don't know what the scores are. On a normal school year, we would already have the scores. But this is not a normal school year, and TEA has decided not to release the scores, and supposedly they're supposed to release them next week. But we have no control over them releasing the scores or not. And then, of course, the next set of scores won't come until May of 2024.
Lo que ustedes ven acá arriba es un resumen de cómo la escuela de Manor Middle School ha hecho en las pruebas estatales. Quizás ustedes han oído las palabras de STAR o las pruebas estatales. Y todas las escuelas y también el distrito reciben una calificación, una nota. Entonces, en el 2017, 2018 y 2019, la escuela estaba bajo nivel según la prueba estatal, porque están haciendo buenas cosas en esta escuela, pero según la prueba estatal, estaban en o lo que dicen una F, o no estaban al nivel que se esperaba. Entonces, lo sabemos que la pandemia ocurrió en el 2020, 2021, entonces el Estado no dio una calificación. Pero en el 2022, según una ley, ahí van a ver algo que se llama SB 1365, sí. Según esa ley, solamente las escuelas que sacaron A, B o C tuvieron esa nota o esa calificación y el público lo vio. Pero si había una escuela que sacó una D o F, colocaron NR, not rated. Manor Middle School demostró progreso de una F a una D, pero porque llegó en D, no le dieron una nota, le pusieron NR. Y en este momento no sabemos la calificación que Manor Middle School va a recibir este año, porque todavía están hablando a nivel del Estado sobre cómo van a poder poner esa calificación. Estamos esperando y ya hemos esperado desde agosto.
And as we say, why that's important, once you get, we go back. Once you get to the fourth improvement required or F, then the state can begin to consider sanctions against the school district and the school itself. And on the fifth F, or improvement required, the district can take over the state can take over the entire school district. Go on now. So the Texas Education Code, the law, gives us three options when you're in this situation. The first option was given is to actually close Manor Middle School completely and then rezone all the students to other schools. The second we have up there is enter into an 1882 partnership. That's what we're talking about tonight, and that is partnering with the charter school to run the school. The third option is you risk running the TEA taking over the school if Manor Middle School does not achieve the levels required. So that's the boat we're in right now, is those are the options we have. The first initial estimate we had, this is going way back in the summer, was that Manor Middle School would probably get an F. Now we don't know, because the education agency has said we're not releasing scores, and we're also going to mess with all the equations we use to give a score. So now we're kind of in this gray area where we don't know exactly what's going to come out whenever the TEA releases the scores.
Entonces, recuerda que en el 2017, 18 y 19, la escuela no aprobó, según el Estado, como una calificación para la escuela. Entonces, eso quiere decir que 3 años consecutivos, enseguida, sacaron una F, por decir. 2020, 2021, no había ninguna calificación. 2022, sacaron una D, pero el Estado no reconoció la D. Entonces, estamos esperando ahí. Según lo que nosotros, lo que sabíamos en junio, era que la escuela quizás iba a sacar una F. Entonces, será 2017, 2018, 2019, 2023. Sí, 2023. Será 4 Fs enseguida. Entonces, tenemos que tomar una decisión. Entonces, lo que tenemos aquí son opciones. La primera opción se trata de, como un distrito, decidir de cerrar la escuela y que los alumnos van a otras escuelas aquí en el distrito de Manor. La segunda opción es entrar en lo que nosotros llamamos un SD 1882 o 1882, donde nosotros como un distrito y la escuela nos ponemos en un acuerdo con un charter que puede también ser una escuela charter o una escuela charter que es por la universidad o una universidad. La tercera opción será de, ¿sabe qué? Tomar el riesgo que quizás sacan una F en la escuela de Manor Middle School, sacamos una F, que es 4 años enseguida, y si no hacemos nada, ponemos el riesgo de seguir este año y en mayo o junio, cuando nos dan las calificaciones, si sacan una F, que serán 5 enseguida, el Estado, TEA, la agencia del Estado, entra y toma control de todo el distrito. Según lo que nosotros sabíamos en el verano, en junio, la predicción era que el Manor Middle School iba a ser una F. Ahora, en este momento, no tenemos la menor idea en lo que va a salir porque el Estado todavía está cambiando las diferentes, como ellos están midiendo si aprobaron o no, están cambiando las cosas en este momento y no han decidido en qué van a quedar. Entonces nosotros estamos esperando, pero nosotros también sabemos que tenemos que tomar una de esas tres opciones. Ayúdanos.
So right now, assuming we don't get we don't get a positive score result back from the state, so let's just say that right now, if we get a positive score result back from the state, it was nice of you being here, but the whole meeting is moved. Because if we get a positive score from the district, I had already promised Dr. Jones, I'd be the first person running down here to celebrate with him. Until that point, Ms. Celadon, it depends on who gets here first, Ms. Celadon or me. But certainly that's what we want. And we will delay as long as we possibly can to see the results before we do anything. If we don't get the positive result, then we're going to be entering into the partnership. And the reason the partnership is important is the state automatically delays any sanctions that they would place upon the school district, meaning they won't take over the district, they won't take over the school for a minimum of 2 years, which gives us more time to get to that D and C level so that we can not have these meetings anymore.
Entonces, en este momento estamos esperando a ver qué calificación va a sacar el Estado. Bueno, el Estado nos va a dar el Manor Middle School, no sabemos en este momento. Entonces, por eso nosotros hemos hablado sobre la SB 1882, lo que es el acuerdo con un charter o universidad que también tiene el sistema de charter. Si cuando salen las calificaciones no es una calificación positiva, si es una calificación positiva, todo el trabajo que hemos hecho, todas las conversaciones, la junta y todo es para nada porque vamos a venir, vamos a celebrar que salimos bien y no tenemos que pensar en esto en este momento. Pero a la misma vez, si no sale una calificación positiva para la escuela, tenemos que tomar en cuenta que vamos a tener que hacer unas decisiones. Pero lo que nosotros queremos asegurar que todos sepan la decisión de o mover por un charter o no, nada se va a decidir hasta que sabemos la nota o la calificación de esta escuela. Según el Estado, nos van a dejar saber en noviembre. No sabemos con certeza porque ya lo he empujado varias veces. Lo que vemos aquí son beneficios a ese acuerdo con un charter de universidad. Uno de los beneficios es que por 2 años no tenemos que recibir las consecuencias del Estado. O sea, que ellos toman control de toda la escuela y todo el distrito del Manor. Mientras que nosotros podemos seguir trabajando en ese acuerdo de mover la escuela a un mínimo, a una C. También nos da una oportunidad de reimaginar la escuela, los programas, la cultura, lo que queremos ver en esta escuela porque los alumnos y la comunidad se lo merecen. Cosas negativas sobre ese acuerdo con un charter de universidad es que nosotros como un distrito perdemos parte de un control de la escuela, pero eso todo depende en la aplicación y en el contrato que uno hace entre el distrito y el charter. Pero es algo negativo que no vamos a tener todo el control, pero eso se va a poder negociar. Yes, sir.
Can you say it again, sir? So he's asking, how are the schools rated? They're rated completely on the STAR test scores that are taken at the end of the school year every year. And so I don't want to get too deep into it, I can talk to you later about it, but there's basically 3 different domains, but they're all based on STAR scores. So how well the kids do on a STAR test. Now there is one of the areas where this school does well is they do measure growth. And that's actually the part that TEA is messing with, that we don't know what they're doing with. So they could come out and change the equations, and they come out and we score well, and then again, this conversation is over. But they haven't told us, so we don't know. We're kind of lost in that regard.
La pregunta del señor fue, ¿cómo es que el Estado determina la calificación de una escuela o del distrito? Y después yo puedo hablar si quieren en grupo pequeño, pero para que sepan más o menos, todo se depende en la prueba estatal de STAR y cómo le va a los niños. Y hay 3 dominios, por decir. La primera es que o aprueban o no. Y es lectura de matemáticas en sexto, séptimo y octavo. Ciencias y estudios sociales en octavo. El otro que esta escuela hace muy bien es que los niños demuestran progreso de un año al otro. Pero esa es la área ahorita mismo donde el Estado está moviendo las calculaciones y tratando de determinar. Puede ser que después de todo esto salimos bien en ese segunda área o dominio de progreso y ahí todo esto no tenemos que seguir con nada, que seguimos, pero vamos, queremos mejorar, ¿no? Lo que está pasando. Y la última es más complicada, yo puedo hablar con eso en el grupo pequeño. Yes, sir.
Okay, from my understanding, we're going to be in a 3-year partnership, correct?
The 3-year partnership is the minimum contract, but that's probably what we would do, yes.
So my clarifying question is, if we're exempt from, or basically delays the sanctions for 2 years, what would that 1-year buffer look like if we're in a 3-year contract?
There is no buffer, but if they want to, I can answer that. So, go ahead.
So the contract in itself, at a minimum, is going to be for 3 years. That's just standard. However, there are deliverables or measurables that the charters have to make. Each year, they've got to show progress. And in the contract in itself, and the reason why I can kind of speak to this is I've been to the webinars and I've been listening in. We write those within the contract. And so if in 3 years, the contract states we're going to go from an F to a B, they're going to have benchmarks along the way that the charter has to meet. If not, then we revisit the contract at the time. So there isn't necessarily the buffer or the 2-year, that's TEA in terms of delaying any type of potential sanctions. The 3 years, the whole contract negotiation piece with the charter partnership. They're not necessarily intended to align in terms of time frame. But that contract that if we need to enter into one, and I'm going to say if, because for all we know, based on the calculations, we may come out very well, and this is all new, as Dr. Sherman stated. That contract will have those deliverables in there they have to meet.
So that 1 year, if we haven't showed growth in those 2 years, that 1-year TA sanction, that 3rd year.
Correct.
There is a possibility, that is correct. La pregunta fue sobre el contrato que uno entra con los charters, al mínimo tiene que ser 3 años. La pregunta que hizo la maestra fue, pues acá arriba dice que si nosotros entramos en este negocio, negociamos con el charter, pues no vamos a tener consecuencias por 2 años, porque no alinean esos números. Las consecuencias y empujando eso por 2 años es aparte del contrato. El contrato es el acuerdo, y si tenemos que entrar en un contrato con los charters por 3 años, ellos tienen que demostrar progreso cada año. Y puede ser que el contrato dice, a finales de los 3 años, nosotros tenemos que asegurar que el número suba a una F, a una B, por decir, ¿no? Y cada año tienen el objetivo que ellos tienen que lograr. Y eso va a estar escrito en el contrato, si tenemos que hacer eso. Ojalá, después de que TEA termine con todas las calculaciones que están haciendo ahorita, la escuela demuestre progreso y no tenemos que seguir con eso. Pero ahorita estamos en una posición donde no sabemos y tenemos que depender de lo que va a decir el Estado.
What is the principal? So this is just, I noticed in talking to a lot of the staff and some of the community last Tuesday, there's a misunderstanding between what's an in-district charter and the rules about those and an out-of-district charter that's basically accountable to TEA. Very quickly, an in-district charter is run in partnership with us. We have oversight. over an in-district charter. That's what an ATA2 partnership is. They do not get to choose the kids they get. They don't get to choose who they serve. They don't get to choose the programs. We work with them on that, and then we ensure that they follow the contract that we sign with them. A TEA charter, and like what we're talking about, idea schools or Compass Rose, they follow different rules, and they can exempt themselves from rules if they choose, depending on their charter. That is a different system than what we're talking about. So remember, our system that we're talking about is we are contracting with them, and we will dictate terms to an extent of what we expect out of them if they're going to run one of our campuses.
En conversación con la comunidad de maestros, queremos aclarar que hay dos diferentes tipos de charters. Hay un charter que es entre el distrito, es el que nosotros estamos hablando hoy, el SB 1882, es un contrato con un charter donde es dirigido por el distrito. Nosotros negociamos un contrato con el charter y colaboramos, y se hace todo a través del distrito escolar de Manor. Hay otro tipo de charter, otro sistema de charters como el KIPP, IDEA, Compass Rose, que ellos siguen a veces otras expectativas y no tienen que seguir todas las reglas que el Estado pone. Y eso es aparte, no estamos hablando de ese. Nosotros estamos más enfocados en un charter donde el distrito tiene voz. El distrito va a determinar y negociar lo que es mejor para el distrito y para la escuela del Manor. No el otro donde no es un acuerdo. Es otra escuela que está aquí y hay opción.
So this is the timeline. The timeline is now extending over 2 slides, so we'll let you look at these. But these are the timeline that we're following as of right now. And of course, that changes if accountability scores come out or don't come out, in which case we're going to have to adjust. But this gives you an idea. Some of you, last time I talked to you, there were 3 applications. Compass Rose was one of them, but they have withdrawn from consideration, no reason given. They just emailed us and said, we don't think we're a right fit, they're out. Just want to also add that at the last board meeting, the only action that the school board took was just to set up the policy and framework to be able to enter into an 1882 partnership. There's no action that was taken that night that does anything for any practical purposes here at Manor Middle School. I know there's some confusion as to what that vote was on that night.
Para que tengan más o menos una idea sobre el tiempo y los meses y lo que ha pasado. Este proceso empezó, la verdad, que en mayo, cuando teníamos que tomar una decisión sin saber exactamente qué calificación iba a sacar Manor Middle School. Pero unas cosas aquí. Hemos hablado con alumnos. Yo hablé con alumnos de la primaria y secundaria en Middle School. También nosotros hemos hablado, he oído de los maestros, las maestras, hemos hablado con la comunidad también. Al final del día tuvimos 3 charters que estaban interesados. Pero desde la última vez que dimos un resumen de todo, la de Compass Rose decidió de no seguir en este proceso. Ellos decidieron que no iban a poder hacer lo que se necesitaba. Entonces hay 2 ahorita mismo, Texas A&M San Antonio y Third Future Schools. Son los 2 charters que en este momento se pueden negociar. Y en la última junta de la mesa ejecutiva, que fue el 16 de octubre, la única acción que se tomó ese día fue que tuvimos que nosotros aprobar una póliza, según el Estado, que nos deja hacer esto, que nos deja entrar en un contrato con un charter a través de la SB 1882. No se decidió quién ni nada de eso, nomás que teníamos que tener esa póliza para poder tomar acción. Sin esa póliza no se puede. Entonces, nomás para aclarar, porque yo sé que había algunos que estaban confundidos sobre el voto de esa noche. Yes, sir.
So, what are we doing different to improve the local form?
What are we doing different to improve the local?
And he's asking what we're doing different to improve the low performance. Two things I'll say is, one, we actually may not be low performing anymore. That's kind of a catch with the accountability system. We don't know what we did. And we could have actually already be out of this. However, your point taken, the school board, way back in, I think it was May or it was June, along with me, helped create a process to provide a greater stipend for staff members that work here. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is Dr. Jones, our principal, will tell you that this campus has been fully staffed for the first time in a number of years because of that. And we're talking about everything, food services, custodians, to teaching staff. Now there is one vacancy I understand right now that we're working on, but that's one of the main things that we did. The other thing is providing the curriculum support team to come here to support staff as needed. And those are the two major things that are different this school year moving forward. And then of course I think we can't not mention the fact that giving the stipend can create not just an attraction for more people coming, but kept the staff you have right here, which I can't emphasize enough how important it is for people who are dedicated to be rewarded and brought back year after year to help that happen. Yes, sir.
So is there anything more we can do to engage the parents? Is the parents more involved?
Sure. There's probably always something more. I'd say we can talk a little bit afterwards. I know Dr. Jones is right here too. You could probably help chime in on that as well.
Let me mention one more thing.
Sure.
So Dr. Shamani gave two things, but I do want to add a third thing, and I think the staff can very much speak to this. So there's been a very intense focus the past couple of years on SEL, social emotional learning, and especially restorative practices. And even I've had the opportunity to look at the data to say there's been a sharp decrease. I probably messed it up. There's been a sharp decrease in the type of suspensions that are being given to scholars. There's been more of a focus, so there's been training of staff, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong. There's been training of staff, there's been training of our scholars, the student body, on how to engage scholars in a way that isn't always punitive. And it really is about how do you teach scholars to regulate or self-regulate, but also then how do you give them coping skills or strategies to deal with conflict. And that requires a lot of training in being able to do so, because sometimes when there's fire, people want to react with fire, and that's not going to work. And so the campus has done a really good job to the point where last year, y'all were recognized by Region 13 for the restorative practices work, something that was shared with the entire Region 13. So I felt the need to be able to share that piece. So I think that's another positive highlight of some of the things that have been taking place that are starting to address some of the low performing, because that emotional behavior piece goes hand in hand. If you're not good or ready to learn, you're gonna have a hard time progressing. Let me just translate real quick and then I'll come over here. La pregunta fue, ¿qué está haciendo el distrito para poder apoyar la escuela que están teniendo dificultades académicamente? Entonces, hemos hecho tres cosas. Número uno, empezando para este año, en mayo, de la mesa ejecutiva, ellos votaron para poder dar más pago a los maestros, para atraer maestros a esta escuela y para también para valorar a la gente que está aquí, que están trabajando duro cada día. Y no solamente era para los maestros o la administración, pero para todos en la escuela. La segunda cosa también fue de que el equipo académico, los directores y coordinadores, ellos también están pasando tiempo en esta escuela y trabajando con la escuela para seguir enfocando en lo que es lo académico. Y la tercera cosa que ellos han hecho muy bien en esta escuela es trabajar con los niños en lo que se llama, ni sé cómo decirlo en español, SEL. Doesn't really always translate now. Prácticas, queremos enseñar a los niños las estrategias de poder, cómo pueden ellos, cuando hay conflicto o están teniendo problemas, puede ser mental, puede ser con otra persona, cuáles son las estrategias que uno puede utilizar. Entonces, el entrenamiento de los maestros, el entrenamiento de los niños se ha dado los últimos 2 años. Hasta el año pasado, la región 13 vino, entrevistó, agarraron video y foto y les demostraron a todos en esta región que esta escuela está haciendo un buen trabajo con restorative practices. Es otra manera de disciplina. Y yo he visto los datos comparado con el año pasado y este año, tipos de suspensiones adentro de la escuela, afuera de la escuela o DAP han bajado muchísimo. Y ellos siguen enfocando en eso.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but a few slides ago, you showed the advantages and disadvantages of having said partnership or a charter school.
Yes, sir.
And the disadvantage said we could lose all local control of the next year.
Not all local control.
I'm sorry?
It wasn't all local control, just to be clear.
We could. That's, isn't that say like?
But it says could do something with local control.
Right, and so the slide before this one said, since we are in a partnership, and you talked about programs, I guess the $1 million question that I'm asking on behalf of the fine arts, will those programs return next year?
Yes, sir.
So we're guaranteed a spot next year.
Yes, I said you will have fine arts.
Thank you.
That's the
That's all I
question.
need to know, Mike.
I can answer that today, actually, because we actually have been working with some charters. There will be fine arts and there will be athletics. That was always kind of the plan, but I didn't want to come out and say it until we did some work this today, but I can say that now.
Appreciate it.
Can I translate?
La pregunta del maestro fue, para el año que viene, si los programas de artes y también de fútbol y lo que es el programa atlético aquí, si eso va a seguir. Y la respuesta es sí. Esos programas no se van a dejar, no se van. Y podemos decir eso con certeza porque hoy tuvimos tiempo con los charters y haciendo unas preguntas, esa es una de las preguntas. No vamos a quitar programas el año que viene.
And just to feed off that, that includes band, choir, art, theater, mariachi, and the electives. Electives like FFA, CTE classes, athletics, all of that is still coming into play next year.
We're going to have fine arts and athletics. We haven't gotten that detailed yet, so I can't tell you that every single program exactly will come back. And what I'm talking about is normal processes. If nobody signs up for something, we're obviously not going to keep that program, but that we would do that even if we were in district.
Okay.
So I just don't want to say something that will turn out to be untrue.
Gotcha.
So, Ms. Sturgeon, did you want to say something?
I was just asking about staffing. So, because there has been this idea that if we do have a charter come and partner with us, that means we're getting all new teachers or we won't have any of our staff. Can you speak to what that might look like?
Correct, and that is part of whatever charter we go with. That is part of the operational control that's negotiable. Some charter programs will come in and insist on changing or interviewing the staff to keep them. Some charters will keep the whole staff. I can't say one way or the other at this point, other than that is something that has been expressed to me, not just by teachers, but by community members, that they would like their teachers. So I carried that with me when we go into both the charter selection process and the negotiation process.
I'll come to you shortly, sir.
La pregunta fue sobre, el comentario fue sobre los empleados de Manor Middle School, ¿qué va a pasar? Entonces, eso es parte de la negociación con los charters cuando llega el tiempo de negociar ese contrato. Algunos charters dicen sí, todos pueden volver, otros dicen uno tiene que entrevistar para la posición, no se sabe en este momento. Pero sí son cosas que nosotros hemos subido, no solamente de los maestros, pero la comunidad también, que es muy importante saber exactamente qué va a pasar con los que están trabajando ahorita mismo aquí.
Yes, sir. What do you got?
I know y'all been negotiating on programs. What kind of curriculum?
Charter schools have control over the curriculum to an extent as long as it's within the framework of state law. So the state says you have to teach these subjects and you have to teach this, what's the word? They're called teach, this part of the subject, the standards that you have to teach. How they teach it, that's up to the charter school. That's one thing that they do control.
La pregunta fue sobre el currículum y quién va a dirigir eso. Entonces, según lo que sabemos, el charter, ellos son los que dirigen. Todos tienen que enseñar los estándares del Estado, lo que se llama TICS. Pero ellos a veces determinan el modelo de instrucción y eso es parte de lo que ellos hacen.
Well, one thing Ms. Durgan reminded me, teacher contracts are with all contracts are with the district itself. So everybody's got a job no matter what. No matter what happens, believe me, I'm going to find you a place to work. Now, ideally, you're right back here, but you will have a job with the district.
So I just wanted to say something. You know, the board is not interested in having all of these scholars. The board is not interested, I think I can speak for everyone, having all these scholars out of place. We're gonna instruct our superintendent to do the best that he can do in negotiations to keep Manor Middle School as the same as possible. But we do have to have him negotiate all of those programs as well as, you know, the teachers and so forth. And like he just mentioned, we're not interested in letting people go, or we want to make sure that our staff that has been working here for 3 to 5 years or more have a place. Your home is Manor ISD, and if we can manage to keep our staff here, we will. We have given Dr. Sermani permission to spend resources here to make sure that whatever is needed is needed. Ms. Rodriguez-Barnett just mentioned something. If there's a program here now and it's not here if we change to a charter, you can always reallocate that student to one of our other schools to get those programs.
That's not what I said.
Oh,
I was
I'm
talking
so
about, that's
sorry.
okay. I was talking about the staff, but it's something that Dr. Sermani has also stated. We are a district of choice, so we do have additional options if parents so choose. They can look at the pathways that are best suited for them, both in middle school or high school as well. But what I was saying as far as reallocating, Dr. Sermani already said, is we really want to be able to keep those teachers here, and we will do what we can to help them this year.
And I think I'll make one real important point. So came on the job May 1st, and I got the message really clear, and I believe it because I was here 6 years ago. This is the Manor Middle School. And it says ATG, one of the non-negotiables that was out front with all the charters is you don't get to change the Manor Middle School. It's still got to be the Manor Middle School. And I'm not just talking about the name. And I think I can speak for the school board, and I can speak for me. So we are going to keep the character of the school one way or the other, however we go forward with this. So I just want to emphasize that point.
Todos los empleados del Manor Middle School van a seguir empleados del distrito. Y la oportunidad va a ser de ser empleado de la escuela. Pero al final del día, nosotros queremos negociar y asegurar que si usted trabaja en el distrito, si usted trabaja en esta escuela, usted va a tener trabajo el año que viene. Comentarios que se hicieron también es que cuando él entró el 1 de mayo, la mesa ejecutiva le dijo claramente que Manor Middle School es la prioridad. Por eso hablamos de más pago, por eso decidimos devolver algunos recursos para poder asegurar que la escuela tiene la facultad, que están trabajando en mejorar lo académico de los niños. También darles las mismas experiencias que están teniendo los demás, con lo de arte y lo de athletics y cosas así. También queremos asegurar y declarar y decir muy bien que la identidad de esta escuela no se va a perder, no queremos perder eso. Y no solamente el nombre, o sea, esa es la escuela de Manor, ni cambiar el nombre, pero asegurar que la identidad de esta escuela sigue la identidad y simplemente estamos mejorando las cosas. Entonces, eso va a ser parte del contrato y la negociación con los charters, si llegamos a ese punto. ¿Pregunta?
Mi pregunta es, por ejemplo, los estudiantes que están en el grado 8, que de los años que no, del año del virus, de los 2 años del virus. Por ejemplo, ellos van a pasar a la high school, entonces eso no les va a afectar a ellos allá también, por ejemplo, si hay algún plan con eso.
Sí, déjame traducir, luego lo digo en español y luego lo digo. The question was, so for our 8th graders who are going into high school, who have been impacted by the pandemic, have been impacted by just things the past several years, who may be behind, whether it be this or in general, what supports are there going to be at the high school to help them? How does that impact our current 8th graders that'll be freshmen next year in high school? Entonces, a la pregunta, señora, como nosotros en el 9º grado tenemos que ofrecer variedad de cursos y algunos de esos cursos son de poder dar intervenciones en lectura y matemáticas, porque entendemos que tenemos alumnos que están atrasados en esas materias, no solamente esa materia, pero enfocando más que toda la lectura y matemáticas. Tenemos que asegurar que nosotros tenemos esos cursos en el 9º grado. Lo que estamos hablando esta noche con lo de SB 1882 no cambia eso, no lo va a perjudicar de ninguna manera. Sabemos que los alumnos que están atrasados, no importa si están en primaria, middle school o high school, como un distrito y como las escuelas tenemos que ofrecer más para ayudarlos a llegar más a nivel. Entonces, no sé si le contesté bien ahí, pero tenemos que, es parte de nuestro trabajo. No importa si estamos en un acuerdo con un chorro o no. What I stated to Mom was that, regardless if we're in a partnership or not, if we have kids that are behind, and I spoke for regular reading language arts and mathematics, it's our obligation as a school district and as a school to help scholars get caught up. So for our 8th graders who are going into 9th grade, we have to offer courses, and we have to offer intervention to help support our scholars get caught up, whether it's because of the pandemic or other reasons that some of our scholars are behind. And so, whether it's a partnership or not, we are obligated, whether it's elementary, middle school, or high school, to intervene and provide additional academic support to our scholars to help them close that gap.
Dr. Thomas? Okay.
I was just asking, how is that support provided? Because I noticed in some of the classes, it's like, they get grades just by doing the work. Or they get passing grades just by doing the work, and not actually mastering the work.
So in regards to your question, for me, what I would say on that one is that as a parent, we need to meet with teachers just to get a better understanding of what's going on academically with one's child. I know that as a school district, we have our expectations. Our campus leaders and teachers are involved in what we call professional learning communities to make sure that they're understanding what they teach. And actually, what you're speaking about grading and the type of grading so because of the fact that, to me, it tends to be specific, kids should be getting graded on how they're performing. And if there's a concern outside of how kids are being graded that does not have to do with performance, what I would recommend as a parent is to speak to the teachers in regards to that if that is a concern. From what I've gathered in my conversation is that our teachers are teaching, kids are taking assessments, they're getting those grades, and those grades are going into grade book. But I would definitely suggest, sir, if that is a concern, to definitely reach out to the teacher and just say, I want to understand, how is this being done? And if you're hearing something different, then it's a great opportunity to collaborate with the campus and the teacher. La pregunta que tuvo el señor fue que a veces, según lo que he entendido, las calificaciones que los niños están recibiendo en su trabajo es simplemente porque lo completan y lo entran, no según cómo les va en el trabajo. Entonces, lo que yo le comenté fue que es una buena oportunidad de hablar con los maestros y las maestras, con la escuela, para poder hablar sobre si eso es una duda o preocupación, que mi hijo está entregando todo eso, pero está bajo nivel de lectura, ¿cómo es eso? Preguntar qué está pasando ahí. Lo que yo les puedo decir, según lo que yo he visto con el desarrollo profesional, entrando en los salones y todo, es que los niños toman un examen, saben lo que sale en el examen, esa es la calificación de ellos. Luego en un grupo pequeño, de otra manera, tenemos que intervenir para
Certainly get a question.
Thank you, Superintendent. Quick question. What data sets do we have or track record? The 1882 legislation was 2017, is that correct? So we got a half decade maybe of track record. Do we have success stories to share where we've embedded these charter schools within the district? And then the follow-up to that is, once they're embedded in the district, if they show a turnaround, does that not give them sticky roots to continue to stay? And you say we lose oversight, or we still have oversight, but man, it sure feels like once you get some kind of exterior force involved in the district, I lose my ability to go yell at a principal or the superintendent. And you have these external forces that seems like they would complicate things.
Well, there's certainly, well, let me start with this. There are a lot of charter schools out there. Some of them are good, some are not so good. There's some charter schools that have done this kind of work, turn around in a district, and they have been successful. And there are some that have not been successful. Yeah, that's part of the vetting process with the two that we have left on whether they're being successful or not. I just happen to be looking, well, I probably shouldn't say everybody, but at least one of the people I was looking in on them, and they were successful. Now, are they successful with the new round of accountability scores? Nobody knows, so they haven't come back yet. To your other point on the question as far as the stickiness of it, so to speak, there are districts that have kept their charters all the way through, past the 3 years, and have extended contracts. Longview ISD comes to mind. They've almost completely, or they have completely made charters out of every single one of their schools. And so they essentially, the board, the superintendent manages a district full of charter schools. In the end, I think the most important thing that we focus on, and I'm not advocating one way or the other, is that we want our children to be successful, period. And how do we get them to the point that they're successful? I would love to end this conversation. We're on our way forward. I think we probably are, and we're gonna just do it ourselves. The hand we are dealt and the difficult decision we have to make is if the state rules and the accountability system sinks us, we have no choice. 3 years from now, if we're being successful, we will have a choice again as to whether we want to continue that partnership or not. And I think that that's a community discussion to decide whether we're happy with the product we have or we prefer the product we could deliver ourselves at that point. In the end, one way or the other, we need the children to be successful. And I think that that's the bottom line to focus on.
La pregunta del Señor fue, más o menos hace 6 años salió esta ley de SB 1882. Y si tenemos datos, si tenemos información para ver y determinar si han tenido éxito estos charters a través de este acuerdo de 1882. Y la otra parte de la pregunta fue, ¿no será más difícil si un charter ya entra en la comunidad, entra en el distrito, no se complican las cosas porque quizás se van a quedar aquí? Entonces, la primera parte de la respuesta que se le dio fue que hay algunos charters que son buenos y hay algunos charters que son malos. Con los dos que nosotros estamos en este momento en conversación, ellos tuvieron que mandar una aplicación con un montón de preguntas y respuestas. Parte de eso eran maestros y oficiales de la oficina central, leyeron todas las aplicaciones y anotaron sus comentarios y calificaron cada uno. La otra parte fue que nosotros también tenemos que asegurar en conversaciones, entrevistas con ellos, que lo que ellos pusieron en la aplicación es la verdad, lo que ellos están diciendo. Eso también ya ocurrió. Al final del día tenemos algunos que han tenido éxito y otros que no. Para nosotros, la verdad que preferiremos nosotros que todo salga bien con Manor Middle School, según la agencia del TEA, y se acabó esta conversación ya. Pero la verdad es que si la escuela saca una F, ya son 4. Y tenemos que tomar una decisión difícil. Según la segunda parte de los raíces de los charters en la comunidad, tenemos que tomar una decisión ahora y en 3 años cuando termine el contrato tenemos que tomar otra decisión. Pero lo que nosotros sí estamos de acuerdo es que para nosotros queremos asegurar que los niños tengan éxito. Al final del día eso es lo que importa a nuestros niños, que ellos tengan éxito en lo que hacen todos los días.
Go ahead, John.
I think I parent questions and engagement. I'm a positive person by nature, and I believe in Dr. Jones and the staff. And so while we've had some good, healthy conversation about the if with the charters, I'm more focused and want to know more about the staff that agreed to stay here, that yes, we heard, what are we doing differently? They're getting a stipend. Can you share with us what is being done differently this year? And you've touched a little bit on it here and there, but what benchmarks are we using? What assessments are we using? We've already had a grading point, and so since I'm believing firmly that whenever they come out with those state test scores, we have a whole hundreds of other ways to test and assess where we are. So can you share with us, Dr. Jones, are we doing more walkthroughs? What is happening differently right now that we have the faith and the confidence that we're gonna make it no matter what because we've got the best staff to get it done?
All right, thank you. Well, for one, we've been able to secure a very qualified staff this year that's a lot better and a lot different than we have in the past. We have a lot more experienced teachers, particularly in our math and ELA. That's number one. Number two, we're also a recipient of a grant, and we've implemented some blended learning implementation specialists where we have a focus this year on small group, and we're making sure that our kids are getting the assistance they need within their classes. Number three, we're also ramping our restorative practices. We've increased our restorative practices to where it's not just kids kind of doing it on the side. Our teachers are doing restorative circles in their classrooms, building social emotional learning. Number four, we've gotten very specific with our advisory classes. Well, we had a parent ask a question about what do we do when our kids need more assistance. One thing we do is we pair them up with a specific teacher during our advisory period, which is the first class of the day, where if a scholar has shown us that they need assistance in math or ELA, we're giving them additional assistance in math and ELA, and we switch those classes every 6 weeks per the scholar's needs. We're also weekly giving out 3 or 4 question common formative assessments. What those are those assessments that are the same for all of our math and ELA classes. So that way, each week we know how our scholars are doing, and we're also reteaching when our scholars are not receiving the information that they need. We're also going to go partner with a tutor. I'm working with Mr. Gungada to partner with Hey Tutor to give us additional assistance for scholars who are showing us that they need help past the reteach, past the advisory. They're going to get help with tutoring, and those are things that we're going to continue to do. So my thing is to be a better person today than you are yesterday. Manor Middle School is going to be a better school. Everybody's going to be a better teacher. I'm going to be a better principal. Our kids are going to be better at the end of this year than they are at the beginning of this year. So what that looks like, I don't know. But what I can tell you is that I am seeing a lot of progress in our weekly CFAs, particularly in my ELA classes and my math classes as well too. So I do think that we will have some growth. And those are things that we're doing kind of consistently on a day-to-day basis. Most definitely. I can definitely work with you after the meeting, and we can talk about that. And I'll give you my personal contact information because I return phone calls within 2 hours. I return emails. I do text messages. So if you ever have any questions about Manor Middle School, reach out to me directly and I will get to you. But we can definitely do more homework.
And before I translate, Dr. Jones, I also want to remind the group, right? You all give I-ready reading, I-ready math, diagnostic assessments, boy, end of year. There's progress monitoring that can be done with that as well. And then there's been more of an emphasis on leadership coaching of principals on myself and our executive director of curriculum instruction and assessment, as well as the walkthrough expectation. So it's about building capacity. It's about being there to support our teachers to improve on their craft, which is something that Manor Middle School, not only Dr. Jones, but the assistant principal of instruction, Ms. Young, and the assistant principal of culture, Ms. Lindgren, they're in classrooms, and that is the expectation, and they keep meeting them. La pregunta de la doctora comments. Se trata de, hemos hablado que estamos dando más dinero, hemos hablado de que estamos haciendo algunos cambios, pero ¿qué más? ¿Qué clase de evaluaciones se está haciendo? Entonces, lo que acaba de decir el Dr. Jones, y dio como no sé, 8 o 9 cosas, a ver si me puedo acordar. I may not remember all 8 or 9 things you've listed. I'm going to do my best. Número 1, la calidad de maestro este año es mejor que los años pasados. No tenemos tantas clases vacías, tenemos maestros y hay mejor calidad. Número 2, ellos siguen trabajando mucho en lo que es y no me gusta utilizar la palabra comportamiento, ¿no? Pero lo que llamamos restorative practices, SEL, perdón. SEL. La tercera cosa que también él mencionó es que no solamente ellos hacen evaluaciones cada semana de 3-4 preguntas sobre los estándares y luego están revisando eso y ponen un plan en acción para esa semana y la semana que viene. También durante el tiempo de lo que llaman el advisory, es un tiempo donde todas las escuelas se unen para ayudar a todos los niños. Ellos están cambiando esos grupos según los datos. Algunos niños necesitan más ayuda en ciertas áreas o ciertos estándares que otros. Entonces ellos siempre están mirando los datos y haciendo sus cambios. También la escuela utiliza lo que se llama iReady Reading, iReady Math. Son programas de lectura y matemáticas que uno puede hacer en casa. That's one thing too to make note for our community is that iReady Reading, iReady Math can also be done at home. It's not just at school. And I don't think we sometimes do a good enough job of putting that out there, so we will do that. Además de eso, mi trabajo y el trabajo de nuestro release es de dar más entrenamiento a los directores. Entonces, cada semana estamos reuniendo con el Dr. Jones para asegurar que él mejora como un director para que él pueda ayudar a los demás en la escuela. Y la última cosa que me acuerdo de este momento es, hay una expectativa que ellos están en los salones 10 veces a la semana con 10 maestros y dando información para mejorar los maestros en su instrucción. Eso es una expectativa que las tres personas de administración en el grupo están logrando. Porque yo cada jueves les doy el reporte y yo espero ver 30 o más, 10 por cada persona de administración.
So we're here in the end. I want to give an opportunity for our school board members to say a few words if they would like. If you would like to come up.
Well, I guess I got nominated.
Oh, okay.
So one of the things I think the board wants and everybody to know is that this didn't just start this year for us reinvesting into, we've always been invested into Manor Hill, but if you look at the score difference from, I think 2019 to 2022, you see a jump from 50 to 65. And then with implementing what we're doing now, so I don't want you to think that your students sat here for 2 years and didn't already have a great staff, didn't already have great support. Now, if you're looking at how TEA is deciding how schools are ranked, there are schools that have made great progress that still are going to get a lower score. So I don't want you to think that we haven't been progressing. It means that if TEA completely changes how they assess, they change the goalpost in the middle of the game. So I don't want you to think that the ball still wasn't moving down the field. But if you change the goal in the middle of the game, that doesn't mean we weren't progressing. That means you changed where the end zone was. I like to say, I'm completely on football right now because I'm like, yes. So I don't want you to think that, oh, well, what have you done in the last couple of months? I want you to be thinking that we've been, and the staff has been working hard for years. And like I said, if the end zone changes, that doesn't mean that we haven't been really making great strides year after year. So.
Can I translate that, please?
Huh?
Can I translate that, please?
Sure. Sorry.
That's okay, because I was waiting for you to translate it. So, lo que estaba diciendo el trustee Jordan es lo siguiente. No queremos que ustedes se vayan de aquí esta noche y piensen, pues, solamente empezaron este proceso en mayo, que han hecho los últimos no sé cuántos años. Esto siempre ha sido una conversación. Hemos sabido que la escuela ha tenido dificultad según la prueba estatal de STAR. Entonces no fue algo que se empezó en mayo. Hemos dado recursos, hemos apoyado a la escuela. Sabemos que estamos ahorita mismo en una posición donde tenemos que hacer algo más y diferente. La otra cosa que ella mencionó también es que estamos en este tiempo y en vez de usar fútbol americano, vamos a utilizar fútbol. I'm going to use soccer instead of, Entonces, imagínate en el deporte de fútbol. Nosotros sabemos la cancha, sabemos dónde está la portería en los dos lados. En ese momento, el juego, como se entiende, no es el mismo juego. En este momento, el Estado está moviendo la cancha, está moviendo la portería, o lo están acercando o lo están alejando más. Y las reglas también están cambiando. Quizás un jugador puede utilizar la mano en vez de los pies, y no solamente el portero. Entonces, estamos en un momento donde las cosas están cambiadas y no sabemos qué tenemos que hacer. Pero seguimos avanzando. Seguimos avanzando en esa cancha a la portería. Nomás que no sabemos si la portería queda igual, se acerca o se aleja. Entonces, nosotros seguimos demostrando ese progreso que es súper importante. Nada más que tenemos que esperar ahora mismo, porque nosotros no tenemos el control, tenemos que esperar lo que dice el Estado.
So I'm going to speak from my parent hat rather than my board hat. I am a parent of kiddos in the district, and not only am I looking at this from a trustee perspective, I'm also looking at this from a parent perspective. I have kiddos that are supposed to go to Manor Middle School. The path that I was talking about earlier about being a school, a district of choice and being able to make those choices. One of my kiddos wanted to go to Manor Middle School, to Manor New Tech Middle School. We entered the lottery and he was chosen for that school for last year and for this year. I'm in a place where I have a fifth grader who will be going to middle school next year. And they would be coming here if they were not interested in looking at other pathways for them. So I'm extremely interested in this partnership, what it looks like if we do have to go down that path. I'm very interested in what choices she has for fine arts. What does that look like for sports? What teachers are going to be on the campuses? So I'm very, very interested in moving forward with the district and with the parents in this community. I want to understand what is important to you. If it's continuing to have discussions in open forum like this or reaching out by email or by phone, we can have coffee, have a discussion, and learn what's more important to you as we continue down this path. But I'm sitting in a parent's position just like many of you that are here tonight, and then interested as parents as well, and instructors too.
La señora Rodríguez Barnett no solamente es un trustee del distrito, pero ella también es madre de niños que están en nuestras escuelas. Ella mencionó que en el distrito de nosotros tenemos opciones. Padres sí tienen opciones para ir a otras escuelas. A veces no hay suficientes sillas en unas escuelas y tenemos que hacer una lotería, y luego de hacer una lotería no nos están en la lista de espera. Como madre, ella tuvo un hijo, que la opción para él era la Manor Middle School. Metieron la aplicación, pasó la lotería y resultó que él cayó en lista para poder entrar. Ella tiene una hija que está en 5º grado y como madre, ella está muy interesada en saber cuáles van a ser mis opciones como madre para mi hija. Entonces, ojalá que no tenemos que hacer esto, pero como madre ella está interesada en saber un poquito más sobre cómo este acuerdo va a resultar, qué puede salir de eso. Y vuelvo a repetir, ojalá no tenemos que ir por este paso, este camino, pero como madre y también como trustee, ella está muy interesada porque ella lo ve de los dos papeles.
So I would just like to share that we as a board support this staff. We support Dr. Jones. But one of the ways that can happen better for the community to see is you need to be able to toot your own horn. A lot of things are coming down with the mixed messages. And we're talking about a projected charter. More talk needs to be about what you're doing now in the classroom. We've had a grading period, so it's a perfect opportunity to say, I have 20 students, and they scored X 100 on this benchmarks test. Because then you're showing what you're reproducing, not talking about what you're giving up and what you're gonna let somebody else come and do. So hearing more of that, yes, we know about job security. You heard Dr. Simone say that everybody's gonna have a job. You're gonna have a job. And the community can also hear that the teachers here are receiving a stipend. So then, what does that mean? They're getting more money than everybody. We don't need to pit one against one, a teacher against a teacher, but to join and tell the rest of the district what you're doing and how the scholars are actually excelling in what you're doing just in these last few weeks. So that's my encouragement for you to do more of that, and it also then will reach parents like I almost said sister Stephanie, who are a prospective parent, to say, yeah, I want my kid to go over there. And the students said, oh, look at all those great things those students do. Yes, I want to go there. So to Joan, let us hear more about those things that you are doing.
La doctora Thomas, trustee también, ella es una persona muy positiva y también ella quiere que la escuela mejora en publicando lo bueno que está ocurriendo aquí. Y no solamente por los programas que uno puede ver y uno participar, pero más que todo también qué éxitos están teniendo académicamente. Ya ha pasado un periodo de informe, ya tienen datos en este momento, que quizás, y lo que ella está proponiendo a todos aquí, es de hacer un mejor trabajo de poder publicar lo positivo, las buenas cosas que están ocurriendo aquí. Entonces es mejor que nosotros ponemos el cuento allá, en vez de que la otra persona viene y da el cuento de nosotros. Nosotros tenemos que poder tener esa voz para poder hablar de eso y ponerlo así. Entonces eso es algo que la doctora Thomas quiere que recordamos, que tenemos que nosotros hablar de nuestros éxitos aquí mismo en la escuela.
And in Austin, I've been through 4 charter schools where the charter came in 4 different charters. They all were different, just like Dr. Simone said. But prior to that, had that school done a little bit more and letting the parents know, all they could hear was talking about the charter takeover, and didn't spend enough time with what they were doing and letting those parents know, no, this is still a good school. So I know we can do it. I mean, I'm a cheerleader for you. We are a cheerleader for you. So let's just get out and let everybody else know about it.
En su experiencia en el distrito escolar de Austin, ella ha tenido la experiencia de que 4 escuelas contrataron con un charter. Y como ha dicho el doctor Somani, también ella me recordó, hay unos que son buenos y hay unos que son malos. Pero en vez de hablar y enfocar tanto en el charter, debemos de hablar y enfocar más en lo que estamos haciendo nosotros aquí. Y tenemos que mejorar y hacer un mejor trabajo de involucrar y hablar con la comunidad. Y los padres, porque los padres están aquí con nosotros en colaboración, en vez de a veces chocando. Entonces, eso es algo que también tenemos que empujar.
Just real quick, I want to go back to keeping Manor Middle School. I had my 4 kids come through Manor Middle School. My nephews, they're part of the restorative practice, and we're here to support you. Lo que está diciendo es que he tenido mis 4 hijos, mi sobrino, todos parte de esta historia de Manor Middle School, parte de esta comunidad. So estamos aquí para apoyarlos. So we are really here to support you. And on a personal note, en una nota personal, es que tenemos una batalla con TA. We have a fight with TA, period. So we could also encourage our parents to go speak the good stuff about public education that we're doing in Manor, in our communities. So la batalla que tenemos con el TEA es tener mejor comunicación de todas las cosas positivas que estamos haciendo y decir todo lo bueno, no nomás aquí, pero en otros niveles más grandes donde escuchen que la educación pública está haciendo buenos movimientos, estamos avanzados y necesitamos mucho más apoyo. So we really do need a lot more support. We need to advocate not just here, but at bigger levels of all the great things that we're doing in public education. So I want to thank everyone. Muchas gracias a todos.
Before I forget, Ms. O'Donnell's coming up. We do have a survey. It's still live, and it's on the website. If you go to the website and click on the Charter 1880 Partnership, that you can provide feedback. Before we evaluate the charters, we will be reviewing that one last time to see what everybody has told us. There are actually definitely some themes that have come out of it.
First of all, before we end, I just want to say thank you to everyone for really coming out and supporting, Manor Middle School. It's all about the scholars here in Manor Middle School. It's all about the scholars in Manor ISD. When I first ran for school board, I thought there is no reason that our town, Manor, here in Manor ISD, can't be like some of these great school districts that are surrounding us. And we have to tell our story. We have to be the ones that tell our story. And we need to continue pushing the great things that Manor ISD has accomplished over the last several years. This is not a problem that just came up. Dr. Jones has been with his staff here doing a great job, and he will continue to do a great job no matter if it's here or at central office or another school. And again, we support our staff. So I just ask that the community tell our story. Tell the truth about Manor ISD, about Manor Middle School, all of the positive things that are coming out with our new superintendent, with the initiatives, the programs that we offer, the schools of choice that we have, that the parents are really able to choose, where do you want your children to learn? And so, with that, I just thank you all for coming out. I also, as a parent perspective, my grandchildren, I have 4 grandchildren. One of them is in the school district now. I raised 5 children, and they all stood on this stage at one point. They all came to Manor Middle School. And I do not want to see any of our schools fail or, according to TEA, fail, because in my eyes, they're all champions. And we all will continue to be champions and support our scholars and our community. And I do get super emotional, and I apologize that I go on and on, but it's about the kids. It's about these kids and what they can do, and not about what they can't do. And these testing scores that TEA comes and says, well, this defines our children. It does not. Each child has a different way of learning. One of my kids are an entrepreneur. The other one is working for a multi-billionaire. They are all very successful, and they came from Manor ISD. So I believe, and I ask you all to believe with us, we will continue to support in any way that we can. Thank you.
Excuse me, just real quick, I just wanted the staff that's here and parents that 100% we know the quality of the caring and capable staff that we have. And in no way do we ever want you to feel that we don't have your back. Every decision as a board, as a teammate that we make, this is a tough spot that we found ourselves in. And the decisions that we're making begins and ends with what's best for the students, our staff, and our community. I just want you to know from the bottom of our heart, thank you very much for all the hard work we do, and it's not taken for granted.
And I guess, want to try to translate?
En breve, Presidente Salomón habló que la mesa ejecutiva, no solamente ella, pero todos creen en la escuela, creen en el distrito. Ella tuvo sus hijos en el distrito, pasaron por estas escuelas, ellos graduaron de la escuela. El trustee Martínez le dio las gracias a los maestros y las maestras que trabajan duro todos los días y que nosotros creemos, a todos en la facultad, que cada persona tiene su parte en la escuela. Y si no todos están unidos en trabajar al beneficio de los alumnos, vamos a batallar. Al final del día, tengan orgullo y comentan, publican lo positivo que está pasando. Yo entiendo que a veces no todo es positivo, pero han salido buenas cosas. Y cuando hay un problema, hable con la gente. Vaya y pregunta y hable con ellos. Pero de parte de toda la mesa ejecutiva, gracias por estar con nosotros esta noche.
Señor Guerrero.
Les quería dar gracias a los padres que vinieron hoy y de seguro, señores, que cuando tengan opiniones o quieren hablar con nosotros, tenemos la mesa, la puerta abierta, así como el Dr. Samari. Tienen una voz ustedes como padres y como maestros también. You as staff and parents, you have a strong voice. So please let us know, keep in touch with us, communicate more with us, with Dr. Samari. We want to hear from you. Thank you.
Sí, yo quiero dar comentarios. Yo primero que todo quiero dar algo positivo. Yo trabajo como la supervisora de food service, y lo que me dicen mis compañeras este año es mucho mejor el comportamiento con los estudiantes y cómo están manejando los directores todo esto, entonces yo lo puedo ver, lo puedo decir. Otra cosa que estoy muy agradecida porque lo que están demostrando que están de parte de nosotros los trabajadores, que siempre van a respetar nuestra posición y nuestro trabajo, o sea que tenemos un trabajo asegurado en Manor. Yo tengo apenas, tengo trabajando en el distrito por 16 años y este es mi primer año aquí en Houston. Yo venía de una elementary. Mi principal preocupación es que yo no iba a estar en otra posición como la que tengo, esa era mi preocupación, y de mis compañeras de trabajo también, pero nos han aclarado que ustedes van a hacer todo lo posible para que nosotros sigamos teniendo la misma posición que tenemos y, claro, ¿verdad?, nuestro lugar aquí en el discurso. Yo quiero dar gracias por eso.
I wanted to just share some positive news, so in case you haven't met, Ms. Mudo is the lead supervisor for the cafeteria, and so this is her first year at Manor Middle School. She had been in elementary, this is her 16th year working in the district, and she says that her colleagues have made it very clear to her that this year has gone smoother than previous years, and that she just wanted to highlight that everybody is working hard together on campus, so that's shouting out positive things that are happening. The second thing is that she just feels really appreciative that she can ask questions, she's getting responses, and that she feels much more comfortable leaving today knowing that she does have a position. She will be working. She can go back and tell her colleagues in food services as well that yes, we are being given the updates and that we will have the same position. Gracias.
All right, I will stay behind. Anybody wants to chat with us, blend with the Nuestra Escuela, nuestros estudiantes, our school, our students. We're in this together. Muchas gracias a todos, y thank you all for coming.